Adam and Eve were the first man and woman to live. They lived a happy life in a beautiful place called the Garden of Eden. They knew God loved them, and they even spent time with Him when He walked in the garden. Only good things had ever happened in the Garden of Eden. Adam and Eve had never felt bad feelings of shame or guilt. They did not wear any clothes, but that did not even bother them because they had never even heard about feeling embarrassed. There were many trees in the garden, so there was always plenty of fruit to eat. God told Adam and Eve that there was one tree in the garden they must never ever eat fruit from. Adam and Eve had only ever known good, but eating from this tree would give them the knowledge of good and evil. Only God could understand good and evil. If people ate from this tree, they would experience something that had never happened before in the garden. They would die. Adam and Eve had only ever obeyed God, but that was about to change. There was one animal in the garden that was different. This animal was a snake that was very clever and very tricky. This snake could talk, and he spoke to Eve. Did God really say that you must not eat fruit from any tree in the garden? He asked. Well, that really was a tricky question. He even explained, we can eat from any tree in the garden, but God's rule is that we must never ever eat from the tree in the middle of the garden. He says that if we even touch it, we will die. But the snake was very bad. In fact, later, we will learn that this was really the devil. You see, the devil only wants to hurt people and get them to do bad things. He does not want people to love God. So the snake told the woman a lie. He said, you will not die. If you eat fruit from the tree you will know all kinds of things like God knows. Thinking about and feeling like maybe you want to do something bad is called temptation. The snake was tempting Eve to do something bad. Eve began to look at the fruit and she thought it looked very good to eat. She began to think about that more than about God's rule. And then it happened. Eve wasn't just thinking about it anymore. She decided to actually take some of the fruit and eat it. Then she gave some of the fruit to her husband, Adam, and he ate it, too. Oh, no! What had they done? It was just as God said. Before they ate the fruit, they had only thought good things. Now, they began to think about bad and evil things, too. They felt guilty, embarrassed, and ashamed. They just wanted to hide and cover themselves so they would stop feeling this way. They sewed leaves together to cover themselves. When they heard God walking in the garden, they were so ashamed they hid from Him. Where are you? God asked. We were afraid and naked, so we are hiding, Adam answered. Yes, everything had changed. God knew they had eaten from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. They were no longer only thinking good things. When God asked Adam why he ate the fruit, he blamed Eve. He said, "The woman you made for me gave me the fruit, so I ate it." When God asked Eve about it, she blamed the snake. "The snake tricked me, so I ate the fruit." Everyone blamed everyone else, but one thing was certain: everything would be different now. Evil had come to the garden, and everyone would suffer. So God cursed the snake. No one knows what the snake was like before, but God said that from that point onward, the snake would be the lowest of all animals and crawl on its stomach. It would be so low that it would feel like it was eating dust. The devil would always be an enemy to people, but someday, a descendant of the woman would destroy him. And there was a curse for the woman, too. From now on, having a baby would bring her trouble and pain, and her husband would be the ruler over her. Everything had been easy in the garden, but even the ground would be different now. There would now be thorns and weeds, and Adam would have to sweat and work very hard his whole life just to make things grow. But the worst punishment of all was that Adam and Eve could no longer live in God's special garden. The garden had been a place where they could have only good and live forever. But now they knew about being bad too. Because they had disobeyed God and eaten the fruit, they would start getting older until a day would come when they would die. God made them clothes out of animal skins, but angels stood guard at the gate of the garden so they could never ever return. Even today, the devil keeps trying to trick people and tempt them away from God. Even if we can't see him, he still tries to get us to do bad things. He wants you to think he is stronger than God, but God is stronger,